Hello students. Yesterday we have studied about the administrative and judicial system during the British period. Today we are going to learn about the modern education system in India. Here the modern education, the traditional education of Indians was in practice continuously. Indians started the traditional education. It was continuously in practice. But certain changes occurred in the traditional education system during the rule of the Muslim kings. When the Muslim began to rule our country, that time they brought some changes in the educational system, traditional education system of India during the Middle Ages, and afterwards new changes occurred during the British rule. After the Mughal rule, after the Muslims rule, the British, when they came to India, they brought a tremendous changes in the Indian education system. During the 18th century, new schools were started for the children of British and Europeans who were living in India. When the British captured our country completely, that time the British and European began to live in our country. So for their children purposes, they started educational institutions in India. Since these facilities were never extended to the locals, but these educational facilities were not provided to the Indians, they were not provided to the local people. And when William Warren Hastings came to India as a Governor General of India, he facilitated the expansion of the modern education in India. So with the arrival of the Warren Hastings, here the expansion of the modern education in India began. In 1781, he started Calcutta Madrasa. In 1781, at Calcutta Madrasa was started by the Lord Hastings in 1781, and he started, and one British individual called Jonathan Duncan, who started the Sanskrit College in Benares in 1792. In 1792, at Sanskrit College was started by the British individual called Jonathan Duncan, but it was Charles Grant who pressed for the universalization of British education in India. That Jonathan Duncan, he started the Sanskrit College in 1792, but it was opposed by the Charles Grant because he gave importance for the British education in India. He universalized only British education, and he opposed the establishment of the Sanskrit College in Benares in 1792. It was started by the Jonathan Duncan. And expansion of the British education has received a special support after the appointment of Lord William Bentinck as a Governor General of India in 1828, Lord William Bentinck came to India as a Governor General, and he gave more importance for the Indian education, for the education system in India. Bentinck appointed T.B. Macaulay, that is Thomas Bebington Macaulay, as Executive Governors General. He is appointed as a member of Governor General's Executive Committee. First of all, he was a Governor General's, he was a member of the Governor General's Executive Committee, and he was also appointed as the chairperson of the Committee on Education. So Lord T.B. Macaulay, he was the chairperson. He was also worked as a chairperson of the Commission on Education, and he submitted his report in 1835. In 1835, T.B. Macaulay submitted his proposals, his recommendations, and it became the base for the modern education in India. His recommendations became the base. It became the base for the Indian modern education, and in his policy aimed at creation of a new class of Indians. His policy, what it aimed at? It aimed at creation of a new class of Indians who are Indian in body. Creation of the Indians who are in Indian by body, and but British in intelligence, opinion and taste. So he prepared such a type of person or the Indians, because the Indians who get the English education or the British education, they were a new class of Indians who are Indian only by body, but English in intelligence, opinion and taste. Such type of new class was created with the recommendations of the Macaulay's report. The use of English medium in Indian learning system started after 1830. After 1830, the use of the English language learning started in our country only after the 1830. Now afterwards, after Lord William Bentinck, Lord Dalhousie came to India as a Governor General of India, and on the basis of, and he established 3 universities in Calcutta, Mumbai, Bombay and Madras on the recommendations of the Charles Wood Commission. Charles Wood's Commission of 1854. You know that Dalhousie, he appointed Charles Wood as a chairperson of Commission on Education, and on the basis of his suggestions, on the basis of the recommendations of Charles Wood Commission, Lord Dalhousie established 3 universities, one at Calcutta, Bombay and Madras in 1854, and after that the education started becoming universalization in India. After this, after 1854, education becoming universalization in India. Like this, there is development of education system take place during the British period. Now the impact of the British education in India. Here Indian could develop modernity. You know, the English education, the British education system helped the Indians to develop modernity, to develop secularism, to develop democratic attitudes like the equality, freedom, like democratic attitudes, and also rationality along with the nationalistic ideas. So the Indians get all these ideas through the English education, and impetus was received for the local literature and language. This system gave importance to the regional language, that is local literature and regional languages. This facilitated unity in thinking process. It helped unity in thinking process of the Indians, or the process among the educated class. Educated class began to think about the new ideas from the Western education system. When they read the Western education, they began to think about the political ideas, political theories like secularism, democracy, dictatorship, nationalism, etc. So This facilitated unity in thinking among the educated class, and periodicals were also started. With this, with the Western education, periodicals were also started, and these scrutinized the policies, programs, working of the government. These journals, the newspapers, what they studied, they scrutinized the policies, programs, working of the government, which in turn enabled the Indians to have critical analysis, critical opinions on various issues. With this, it helped the Indians, it helped the educated Indians to criticize the policies, to criticize the programs, to criticize the work of the British. They began to criticize the opinions of the various issues. They began to criticize the issues, the matters of the British, or the working and policies of the British. The new social and religious reformation movement emerged. It also helped the emergence of the new social and religious reformation movement, because Dayanand Saraswati, Rajaram Mohan Roy, Annie Besant, they started a religious, socio-religious reformation movement because they all get English education. Rajaram Mohan Roy, he get English education. He was influenced by the Western education, so he started socio-religious reformation movement. Like so many socio-religious reformation movements emerged with the effect of the British or the Western education system. Now the thoughts of political thinkers, political thinkers like J.S. Mill, he was a political thinker. Then Rousseau and also Montesquieu, etc. were the great political thinkers. The educated people come to know about the theories, the ideas, the principles of all these thinkers, and it brought new thinkings, fresh thinkings in the minds of the educated youth of India. It brought new ideas in the minds of the educated people of India. Now the freedom struggle that were taking place across the globe. During that time, the freedom struggle took place across the world, across the globe. For example, American War of Independence, Russian Revolution, French Revolution. These wars or these freedom struggles, they also influence the Indians. All these freedom struggles, all these freedom movements also help the Indians, and they are also ready to free from the victims of the Britishers. They also prepared themselves to become free from the British. Now the Indians could understand and appreciate their rich tradition. When they studied the Western education, they began to understand the rich culture, the rich tradition of the Indians. They began to understand and appreciate. Now they understand the Indian culture and tradition, and then they started appreciating our culture. It is with the help of the new education system, the modern education system started by the British. The new thinking and cultural perception that emerged due to the British education system created a new generation of Indians which with progressive attitude. It created a new generation of Indians. It helped the creation of the new generation of people, new generation of Indians with a progressive attitude. The new generation of people or the Indians are emerged with a progressive attitude. They began to progress our culture, our tradition, and also understand the Indian rich cultural heritage. It is about the impact of the British education in India. Now the next topic is there, the constitutional development. It is not for your study because it is studied in the 7th standard. And the land tax system or the land tax system or the revenue system. It is also studied in the 7th class. So these two topics are completely deleted. And in this chapter you have to read only the administrative and judicial system and modern education system. Only 2 topics are there. So to study these 2 topics. Thank you, students.